Hello and welcome to episode number 4 of Comic Book Days. I'm Alan D. Lyons, author of Hostage 100 and Full Steam Ahead. And these are the comics that I got on October 16th. Let's dive right in. Okay, first I got The Orville. This is issue number 4 now from Dark Horse Comics. This is based off the TV show from Seth MacFarlane. This series right here has I think it kind of goes in between seasons 1 and 2. They're working on season 3 right now, and they're going to be moving from Fox to Hulu. But this right here, it's the second story arc now of the comic. The crew has they've come across these people who are worshiping the Krill religion, and that's, as you can see there, that's a member of the Krill. And obviously, if you've watched the show, you know that the Krill, they kill humans pretty much, and these people that they've came across are humans worshiping a religion of people who kill humans. So this has been a pretty good series. The artwork, they make the characters look a lot like the actual actors. I've seen other comics that are based off of TV shows that pretty much the characters look nothing like the characters, or kind of there's faint similarities, but this one right here, they've done a pretty good job. And then next we've got Superman Year 1. This is book 3. It finishes up the series. In an earlier video, I mentioned this. I called it Superman Earth 1. That was a mistake on my part. That's another comic, but this is Superman Year 1. This is from the new DC Black Label line. And it's written by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. and drawn by the both of them. So they kind of mesh their two art styles together. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan. The original co-creators, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, that's what they did. They would just pass their artwork back and forth, and they would mesh their artwork together. So that's what Miller and Romita are doing in this. So like it says here, it's year 1, but the story over these past 3 issues have gone a little farther than a year. These are kind of a handful of years. So to call it Superman Year 1, I mean, I know that's in line with Frank Miller's Batman Year 1, but it should be like Superman Years 1 or whatever that may be. But this one ties up the series, and we've gotten to see their version of Superman's origin, and here he finally meets up with Batman and Wonder Woman as they kind of start the Justice League. And I know it ends here, but I'm gonna say right here, spoiler right now. So if you haven't read this, stop and read it and then come back. Or if you don't care, just keep watching. But at the very end, Superman takes off to go take on Brainiac, and he learns about the lost city of Kandor, and I would really like to see that continued. Like I said, I really like this combined style of Miller and Romita, and I would really like to see their take on Brainiac. But a con of this is the writing. So they've teamed up to write as well, both of them. But the writing, it's a neat story, but the words themselves are it's like a rough draft. Like, especially like me, when I write my rough drafts, as a writer, you're supposed to just write to your heart's content. Don't really worry about grammar or readability. You just get the story out, and then you go back and you polish it up. Well, the words here seem like they didn't go back and polish it up. They just pushed out the writing. So that was the bad thing about this. Otherwise, it's been really good. And then I got Star Wars Adventures, Return to Vader's Castle. And this is from IDW. Since Disney had bought Star Wars or Lucasfilm, they also own Marvel, and so they took Star Wars from Dark Horse Comics, and Marvel's been putting it out. But IDW, as you know, they license different franchises. They do the Ninja Turtles, they do Star Trek, Ghostbusters, and they've done some Marvel titles. There's they're doing some Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Avengers, and they've also done some Star Wars. They already had a series called Vader's Castle, but as you see here, this is Return of Vader's Castle. And I got this because, as you can see there, it's the subtitle is the Horned Devil, and you can see there that's Darth Maul. And Darth Maul is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. Top three are Darth Vader, Darth Maul, and Boba Fett. And so I got it because of Darth Maul, and the stuff in there about Darth Maul is pretty neat. The artwork on him is neat. It kind of picks up from his appearance in Clone Wars, where, in Star Wars Episode 1, Obi-Wan had cut his legs off, and of course you thought that was the end of him. But then in Clone Wars, as you can see there, he's kind of got some robotic legs, and where they picked up from him in Clone Wars, they're like spider legs. And, he reprised, his role has been reprised in live action in the Han Solo movie. And I'm really am curious to see where they'll pick up with him in live action. But here, like I said, the Darth Maul stuff was neat, but it was this crew that I had no clue about, didn't really care for the story, period. But in any case, it was Darth Maul, and I really like him. Okay, so we got some True Believers again. Last week, my local shop didn't get any True Believers, but Marvel's been pretty much faithful in putting them out every week. So I got some this week, and they're continuing their X-Men stuff. They'll for weeks on end they'll push out different characters. Like before this, it was the Hulk, and I think that was to promote their Immortal Hulk number 25. I think they're planning something special for that. And before that, they did a bunch of Carnage stuff that was to promote their Absolute Carnage event. And so I think with the X-Men stuff, they're doing their House of X and Powers of 10 stories. And then now this week, they've done a new X-Men number 1. I didn't get that, but I did get these True Believers. And so this one is Jubilee, and it's written by the great Chris Claremont, and the art is Mark Silvestri. And Mark Silvestri, he went on to Image Comics to do Cyberforce. I think they're on their 5th iteration now, but that's another series that I really enjoy is Cyberforce. But here it's the first appearance of Jubilee. And it's a lot like the first episode of the 90s cartoon where Jubilee was a main character in that series. And, the episode was she was in a mall. The X-Men, they kind of want to go out and have a day out without having to worry about supervillains or whatever. And they kind of cross paths because, see, in the episode, Sentinels had attacked. And so in this, it's like that, but instead of Sentinels, it's these mutant hunters. As you can see here, it says M Squad. And the lineup of X-Men are a little different in this. They're the name of the issue is called Ladies Day Out, Ladies Night. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's all the women currently on the X-Men team at the time. You see there, it's Dazzler, Storm, Rogue, and Psylocke. And besides Storm, they all look a little different than what you're used to, but this is back in, I think, the late 80s. And Let's see, the colorist on here. I couldn't get over the Dazzler, as you can see there. You know, they did the colors okay on there, but her skin color in this one was like a maroon color, and that was really turning me off. It was weird. Um, but and also Rogue. Um, for those of you who are not too familiar with her character, you know that she, whenever she touches, makes contact with other flesh, she kind of takes on, steals that character's powers and their psyche, if you will. And so when she had her powers of flight and shooting energy beams, that came from Miss Marvel. Carol Danvers, you know, she's Captain Marvel now in the movies. But the way they kind of treat this in here is, so she's already stolen her powers and her thoughts to Carol Danvers, and they kind of switch back and forth between consciousnesses. I know I said that weird, but they switch back and forth. It's almost like a Bruce Banner Hulk kind of thing, only it's the same body, not Bruce Banner's body, Hulk's body. So that was True Believers Jubilee there. And then I got another True Believers X-Men with Richter. This is Richter's first appearance. Richter, can't remember if he's a member of X Factor or X Force. But in this here, this is actually, even though it says X-Men, it's a reprint of an X Factor issue. And you see there that you got Cyclops and Beast in their X Factor uniforms, which are based off their original uniforms. And this is the first appearance of Richter. Doesn't really show him in his costume, but they want to go and investigate in this villain who is threatened to use his earthquake powers to take down a building, and which that would be Richter. And this is written by Louise Simonson and drawn by Walter Simonson. I wasn't really too impressed with this storyline. I mean, it was $1, so of course I got it. But, and it, you know, I like Richter. I don't know a whole lot about him. I was hoping this would kind of tell me a little bit more about him, but it didn't really go in that route. So that's the comics I got this week. But I also got these cards here, these trading cards, and these were to promote the, coming off the Powers of 10, House of X series of X-Men, and then now they're doing spin-offs of that. They had X-Men #1, but they also have, as you can see there, Excalibur #1. They got New Mutants, and X-Force, and a few other teams. But that's what these trading cards are, and I really dig the artwork on them. They're a nice glossy finish. So next week, which will be in a few days now, because this is Sunday. It took me a little bit to kind of get this episode out. But next week we'll cover the new Savage Dragon, that Immortal Hulk #25, and I'm sure there'll be some more True Believers in there as well. So as always, you can check out my books, Hostage 100, Full Steam Ahead. Working on some new ones. Hopefully I'll put them out here soon. And so as always, this has been Comic Book Days.